Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King coming to you live from the couch of solitude. And today I've got something a little bit different because I'm going to do a quick movie review sort of reaction to Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Now, I know it's not technically a comic book movie, it's kind of comic book adjacent. But as you know, I'm in a big fantasy kick right now. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons in 1980, and still occasionally play today. So I have a real love of fantasy and role playing games and Dungeons and Dragons. So my wife and I have been very excited to go see this movie. We finally were able to see it. And so I'm just going to talk about that a little bit here. The short take is we really enjoyed it a lot. I really liked it quite a bit. It was fun. It had heart. It had a lot of elements from the game that you can recognize. A lot of monsters and spells and class specific things, and a lot of lore from the Forgotten Realms. So you could tell it was really made by people that love the game and know what they're talking about. But it was a lot of fun. All the characters were really good. Um, to prepare for this, we did rewatch. Unbelievably, we rewatched the first Dungeons and Dragons movie from back in the year 2000. Um, the one with Jeremy Irons as the bad guy. It's got Thora Birch in it. That movie is horrible. It's unbelievable that we rewatched it because we had both seen it before, so we knew how bad it was. But we really wanted to just get ourselves in that Dungeons and Dragons mind frame, and yet even after watching that complete steaming pile, we still wanted to see this new one, and I'm really glad that we did. Um, I I really liked the different classes. Chris Pine was playing a bard, and I really have a soft spot for bards. I like playing bards, so I really enjoyed that. There's a cool paladin in it. There's just some really fun sequences. There was a really unexpected showdown with a dragon. I don't want to spoil it too much, but the dragon was definitely a highlight. It had owl bears in it. It had a lot of humor, but it was sort of organic, and it was a lot of fun. It As far as superhero connection, it made me feel kind of like watching some of the Marvel movies that I really enjoyed in the past. As you know, I haven't really loved a lot of the Phase Four Marvel films. I'm not as down on them as some people, but I haven't really loved any of them. But this movie had sort of the feel of something like the first Guardians of the Galaxy, that sort of thing, where it was a lot of fun. Um, and again, the humor it, wasn't forced. It was just sort of baked in a way that I really appreciated. There's some really unexpected cameos from people. Um, some good acting. I'm trying not to actually. Normally when I give these reviews, I get some in-depth spoilers. I don't really feel like it's necessary to do that here, so I'm trying to keep it vague. I mean, it wasn't perfect. There were parts in the first half where I thought they were spending just a little more time than I wanted with the bad guys. Only a couple scenes really, but it wasn't really where my focus was at. I would say that this may be controversial, but I'm not a huge Forgotten Realms fan. Uh, you know, Most of my playing experience was first edition and second edition. So I played a lot of first edition in the 80s, had a little bit of a hiatus for a while where it didn't really play very much for a couple years. high school I didn't really play, but then I got back into it in college. We played second edition in college, and that was mostly Forgotten Realms. And came to as a group, we came to not really love Forgotten Realms. Now I don't know what's been done with the setting since the 90s, so I'm 30 years out of date on my Forgotten Realms stuff. But at the time, it really there were just too many touches in the game where you could tell you were playing in someone else's game. I thought they had baked in too much stuff from the original game, that it was based on too many, focused too much on NPCs that were someone else's player characters. So I didn't really feel that in the movie. They referenced characters, there's a reference to elements there, but we didn't really have that. It was none of those sort of people showed up, so there's just sort of background, Easter eggs and lore, and that was fine. So they did as well as I could have liked with the Forgotten Realms element, but I wouldn't have minded if it was set somewhere else. I will say, having said that, I have played the Neverwinter MMO. I'm a big fan of MMOs. I've played a lot of MMOs, enough to get to max level on most of the ones I've played. So I played a lot, and played Neverwinter for a while. Did the level grind there, got to max level there, and quite a bit of the movie is set in Neverwinter, and it like there were sequences in the city, where the parts of the city looked just like they do in the video game. So I really appreciated that sort of attention to detail in the lore, and sort of bringing everything, like nods to the other properties and the other treatments of the universe. So, um, I don't really have any complaints about the movie. Uh, I've heard that it's gotten good critical reception. Fans seem to like it. It's done okay at the box office. I'll have to take a look at the numbers to see. Like, I don't know what the costs for the movie were, but we were both we both really enjoyed it, and so we came out of it really hoping they were going to do a sequel, because it was a lot of fun. I mean, we haven't been able to get to the theaters very much since the pandemic started. But it's definitely the most fun I think we've had at the theater. Most fun we've had at the theater. There's other movies we've seen that may have been technically better, I guess, with whatever that means, more depth, um, provoking more thought. But this was a lot of fun. So um, yeah, I mean, we really enjoyed it quite a bit. So it made me really want to play D&D, which I haven't done in a while. It made me really want to work on my D&D inspired comic, which I've been talking quite a bit about recently. My comic Quest. There's a lot of D&D influences in it's an epic fantasy, and I'm taking a lot of stuff from MMOs and from D&D. And so I came out of the theater really wanting to get home so I could work on my comic, which I just did. Between watching the movie and recording this video, I spent 2 hours working on a page from the first issue of Quest. So, but it really made me want to, get into that mindset, the role playing game, the fun of that. I have a lot of really great memories from childhood and also from college playing Dungeons and Dragons. And so this, besides being a really entertaining film, it hit a lot of nostalgia for me. So, I mean, I really liked it. I'd be curious to see, hear from you. I know a lot of you guys are also, um, Dungeons and Dragons fans, role playing game fans. So I'd love to hear what you thought of it. But we really dug it. So let me know what you thought down below. That's all I really have. Like, not too many deep thoughts on it. It was just cool to see all the lore, the owl bears, displacer beasts. There were mimics and gelatinous cubes, and all the stuff that you want in a D&D movie. It was all there. There were some elements, I guess I should say, that were definitely post second edition. I haven't didn't really play third, fourth, or fifth edition. When we play these days, we play sort of old school emulators, different D&D like games. And so some of it, like, I knew what a tiefling was, but that was introduced to the game after I stopped playing. So a lot of the non-human races that are in the movie, um, some of that stuff seems kind of a little twee to me. Like, it seems a little bit goofy. Um, but it's fine. There were elements where it was just outside of my D&D experience, and stuff that seemed to, not it didn't seem off in the movie, but in the game, when I've heard about it or seen stuff about some of the like, you can play like a dragon. So there's some sort of race of dragon men, dragon people, humanoid, like half dragon, whatever. Um, it seems a lot kind of like fan servicey. Some of that stuff, kind of silly. But again, I'm just an old man yelling at a cloud there. So it was fine in the movie. There wasn't, there was some. It was that was all again more flavor stuff. So I'm presuming that newer players enjoyed those elements. It's not really a criticism, just so much as just me being old. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So let me know what you think down below. Be curious to hear what you thought. And I'll see you next time.